Today is March 17th. Welcome to Big Book Daily. My name is Rob. I am an alcoholic. It is a thrill, honor, and joy to be here with you today as we journey through the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps and 12 traditions. Today out of the Big Book, we are on Chapter 5, How It Works. We'll read page 64. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 9. We'll read page 86. And of course, we did 24 hours a day and daily reflection. So with that, I hope you all are doing well this morning, my friends. Once again, we've been given a brand new set of 24 hours. What a blessing it is just to wake up sober today. And I forgot to talk about this. I'm afraid to talk about it because the last time I talked about a new coffee mug, it cracked. But Valentine's gift that my wife got me was a insulated Philadelphia Flyers to-go cup. And I have it full of Asia Cafe Instant Coffee 8-in-1 Wild Tiger this morning. So I'm feeling ferocious today. I got the eye of the tiger. The Survivor song, of course. So let's go ahead and get to the good stuff. All right, my friends. If you recall from yesterday's reading, we were talking about Step 3, and we read the beautiful third step prayer. And now we are about to get to the action steps. We made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. So now it's time to get down to the inventory. This is where we put our decision into action. So we're on 64. Though our decision was a vital and crucial step, it could have little permanent effect unless at once followed by a strenuous effort to face and to be rid of the things in ourselves which had been blocking us. Our liquor was but a symptom. We had to get down to the causes and conditions. Therefore, we started upon a personal inventory. This was step 4. A business which takes no regular inventory usually goes broke. Taking a commercial inventory is a fact-finding and fact-facing process. It is an effort to discover the truth about the stock in trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsaleable goods, to get rid of them promptly and without regret. If the owner of the business is to be successful, he cannot fool himself about values. We did exactly the same thing with our lives. We took stock honestly. First, we searched out the flaws in our makeup which caused our failure. Being convinced that self, manifested in various ways, was what had defeated us. We considered its common manifestations. Resentment is the number one offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stem all forms of spiritual disease. For we have not only been mentally and physically ill, we've been spiritually sick. When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. We listed people, institutions, or principles with whom we were angry. We asked ourselves why we were angry. In most cases, it was found that our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambitions, our personal relationships, including sex, were hurt or threatened. So we were sore. We were burned up. Out of the 12 and 12, we're on Step 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. And yesterday we talked about the reactions that we may receive, whether positive or negative. But I love that it makes a distinction that the other person's reaction after we make these amends really has nothing to do with us. It says right here on 85 yesterday, but if we have prepared ourselves well in advance, such reactions will not deflect us from our steady and even purpose. And the only time maybe we won't make a direct amends is when it could possibly cause harm for not just the other person involved, but maybe their families as well. And that's where maybe we can work our indirect amends to make sure that that never happens again. So we are going to read the first paragraph on page 86, and we will finish the chapter tomorrow. Page 86. There can only be one consideration which should qualify our desire for a complete disclosure of the damage we have done. That will arise in the occasional situation where to make a full revelation would seriously harm the one whom we are making the amends. Or quite as important, other people. We cannot, for example, unload a detailed account of extramarital adventuring upon the shoulders of our unsuspecting wife or husband. And even in those cases where such a matter must be discussed, let's try to avoid harming third parties, whoever they may be. It does not lighten our burden when we recklessly make the crosses of others heavier. "24 hours a day, March 17th. AA thought for the day. AA also helps us hang on to sobriety by having regular meetings so that we can associate with other alcoholics who've come through that same door in the wall, by encouraging us to tell the story of our own sad experiences with alcohol, and by showing us how to help other alcoholics. AA keeps us sober. Our attitude toward life changes from one of pride and selfishness to one of humility and gratitude. Am I going to step back through the door in the wall of my old helpless, hopeless, drunken life? Meditation for the day. Withdraw into the calm of communion with God. Rest in that calm and peace. When the soul finds its home of rest in God, then real life begins. Only when you are calm and serene can you do good work. Emotional upsets make you useless. The eternal life is calmness, and when you enter into that, then you live as an eternal being. Calmness is based on complete trust in God. Nothing in this world can separate you from the love of God. Prayer for the day. I pray that I may wear the world like a loose garment. I pray that I may keep serene at the center of my being. Daily Reflection, March 17th. Mysterious Ways. Out of every season of grief or suffering, when the hand of God seemed heavy or even unjust, new lessons for living were learned. New resources of courage were uncovered. And that finally, inescapably, the conviction came that God does move in a mysterious way His wonders to perform. 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, page 105. After losing my career, family, and health, I remained unconvinced that my way of life needed a second look. My drinking and other drug use were killing me, but I never met a recovering person or an AA member. I thought I was destined to die alone, and that I deserved it. At the peak of my despair, my infant son became critically ill with a rare disease. Doctors' efforts to help him proved useless. I redoubled my efforts to block my feelings, but now the alcohol had stopped working. I was left staring into God's eyes, begging for help. My introduction to AA came within days, through an odd series of coincidences, and I have remained sober ever since. My son lived, and his disease is in remission. The entire episode convinced me of my powerlessness and the unmanageability of my life. Today, my son and I thank God for His intervention. All right, my friends, that concludes today's reading and some beautiful stuff today. My goodness. That last reading, man. Whew. I'm a proud dad. I tell a lot of dad jokes. My 7-year-old, even she's starting to roll her eyes now, and she's 7. But I think any parent's greatest fear would be that something would happen to their children. In my experience, the God of my understanding does perform miracles. I mean, the fact that I woke up sober today is a miracle. But in those storms of tragedy, in those storms of chaos, I believe good things can come from that too. I mean, think about our sobriety, right? It was all born from step one, admitting we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. The God of my understanding has restored me. The worst day of my life led me to the best days of my life ever since. And I know it sounds like an exaggeration, but it is the honest to God's truth for me. I've heard other people say it too, that I wouldn't trade my best days drinking for my worst days in sobriety. Because for me, sobriety is just not about not drinking. Sobriety is about, for me, peace, living a life of integrity today, focusing on what I have rather than what I'm missing, concentrating on this set of 24 hours, restarting my day at any time, helping my fellow man. I never would have cared about anybody else beforehand. Toward the end, all I cared about was getting that drink. Even when my daughter was just born, I just wanted to sneak in the garage and drink. So the God of my understanding can turn something broken into something beautiful. And when circumstances like tragedy come, the gift of presence, that he's still there, that can carry me through it. I have seen countless members in the fellowship lose children, parents, brothers and sisters. And that same night, they were at a meeting, thanking their higher power for another day sober. Because they know if they were to go out drinking, that's just going to make the situation even worse when people are counting on them. That's a miracle to me. And then going back to the big book really quick. I love when we're taking inventory that says we're just doing a fact-finding process here. This isn't personal. This is, okay, what junk is in our lives that's just cluttering up our thoughts, and putting that to paper, writing it down. And my dear friend would always say, all right, for every negative thing that you're experiencing, Rob, write a positive thing. For every negative thing that you've done, write at least one or two positive ones. And I think that's because he knew how much I was wrestling with self-loathing. So if you are in the process of doing your inventory and you're dreading it, thinking that, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible human being, guess what? You're not. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But we are perfectly human. And right now it's just about objectively putting this stuff on paper, getting down to the root causes. Who are we resentful at? And we're going to talk about the very basics here of how we can do this inventory specifically. And I think it's laid out beautifully in the big book tomorrow. So I'm really looking forward to that. But anyway, that's enough of my rambling for one day. I hope you all have a good one. And I hope you all know that if you are sober and you're listening to this, you are a miracle. And I am so grateful you're here. You're helping me more than I'm helping you. Trust me. And you're giving a great gift to those around you. And you have a unique superpower to help the next suffering alcoholic out there. And if you're not sober today, guess what? You're helping me more than I'm helping you. And you are a miracle as well. And you are worthy of recovery. Your story is not done yet. There are so many resources out there. There are people dying to help you. Because again, you're helping them as well. So I pray that today you would get the help that you need. And you don't have to do it alone. As always, I don't speak on behalf of AA, NA, Al-Anon, any other sect or denomination. I am just a joyful drunk, honored to be here. And I cannot wait to hear another sober story of yours. So please send an email at bigbookdaily@gmail.com. I would be honored. And I love sharing your sober stories on the podcast. But in the meantime, my friends, if we were given another set of 24 hours, I sincerely look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow.